Okay, now talk for me.
All right, check, check, check. We are in Inside Look. It is an honor. Excited to be here.
Welcome to Inside Look. I'm Jeff Lyons with the newest member of the 14 News family. Casie Mason is here. Welcome, Casie.
It is an honor to be here, Jeff Lyons.
This isn't the first time we've crossed paths, as it turns out, because when you were hired and they made the big announcement, I said, boy, I know that name. I know the name, and I'm thinking, and I thought, I think she was in my class when I used to teach at USI, and that was true, right?
Yes, that's right. You taught me everything I know. I owe it all to you.
And despite that, here you are, successful, happy, apparently, and everything's going well. So we're really glad to have you here at 14 News. I know it's been a real steep learning curve, right? You've been here a grand total of, 2 weeks now?
2 weeks, yes,
okay.
yes. And I have the under-eye bags to prove it with that morning shift.
Yeah, I know. I use a little makeup. Nobody has to know the difference. So talk about you first, and we'll get into the class in a minute, because I got questions. Did I give you a good grade?
Oh, sorry. I A++.
I can't remember. I remember you were good. That was the one thing I absolutely, because when I taught that class, we'll get into that in a minute.
Okay.
Tell me about you. Where were you born? Where'd you come from? Where'd you go to school? That sort of thing.
Where do I begin? I'm born in 1990.
Okay. We're going deep
go
now.
All the way back. You said this was a half hour. We're going to make it a full hour.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Yes. So, born and raised in Gibson County, Indiana. I went to high school and graduated at Princeton Community High School. So, shout out to the Tigers.
Okay,
Very
we know
proud
the
of my
Tigers up there.
hometown. And ended up, in high school. Graduated class of 2008. And then decided to stay in the area. I'm really close with my family, which we've come full circle is what's brought me back.
Right.
Ended up going to college at USI. Actually started out as a PR marketing communications major.
Right.
And I would walk by the TV studio there on that basement level floor. They always keep us in the basement.
I know the one.
No
yes,
windows.
no windows.
And it just kind of hit me by junior year. That's how long it took me to get my act together. And I realized that's where you want to be. I've always grew up just enjoying live production, did musicals and things like that, kind of singing with my dad's band growing up. So I just always enjoyed kind of the thrill of live performance, tying that in with stories that matter and journalism in our community. And lo and behold, switched my major junior year and had to fast track to graduation. And yeah, that's where our paths finally crossed.
Right, because I was teaching. So my story on that is at about 2003, a friend of mine, John Morris at USI, he and I were bicyclists at that time before our backs all went out. That's what happened. And
You're we were pickleball now.
No, I know. Well, my wife is the pickleballer in our family, but I can do it a little bit. But anywho, I said, I've always been interested in trying to teach. And he said, oh, well, you could be an adjunct at USI, which basically means you get all the fun and none of the responsibilities. You don't have to go to meetings or anything. You just show up and teach. And so, okay, well, what class do you want to teach? And so I said, well, something on air, broadcast type stuff. And he said, well, we've got a broadcast performance class. I said, well, okay, that sounds like a good fit. So I show up, and it was scary on my part because I'm not a teacher. At least I didn't think I was a teacher, may still not be one. But, you have to come off as one. It's kind of like playing a role. Mm-hmm. So I put my little suit on, and had my clipboard, my briefcase and everything, and came in. And it was a steep learning curve for me because I hadn't been in college for 30 years at that point. And I just always wanted that class to be like the class I wish I could have taken, and because I went to school at a big university up at IU, and you didn't get in front of a camera till you were like a doctoral student, and I thought, man, it would just be nice just to come in here and play around. And so after they stopped watching me, the bosses, then we started to have some fun in that class. And basically I looked at it as, hey, we're going to turn these cameras and lights on and see what you can do in practice. And everybody seemed to like that.
Just to finally hear your perspective of that
You're right,
is incredible because I truly get exactly what you mean. I mean, you were outside of your comfort zone. As students, we would never have known it, though. You were a total pro.
Oh, right,
but that is a new challenge. You threw yourself out there, and I mean, I will sit here today and tell you truly, and I'm not just saying this because you're Jeff Lyons and we're coworkers now. That class, well, first of all, when I saw Jeff Lyons on the roster, I thought, is this really Jeff Lyons teaching this course? definitely signed up when I found out it was you. And truly, Jeff, that course was the most beneficial class of my entire college career. You did exactly that for us students. We had never, I remember you had us do a forecast. You had us get in front of a green screen for the first time. I learned so much, and quite a humbling experience to go back and watch those clips.
Yeah, you still have your clips, and
I do.
I had those clips for many years on a hard drive, and I think the hard drive failed, and so they're lost to eternity. I have a few things on YouTube. In fact, what was kind of neat about that, I taught there, I think about 16, 17 years. And I had a lot of students then that I wound up working with here in the building. There's 3, 4, 5 of them right now. And despite that, they still talk to me. We're good friends and all that. But yeah, a lot of people seem to enjoy that class. And I remember I had to have, I think, 10 exercises, 10 lessons. And they had given me a textbook, and I read the textbook, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is going to put them right under. And so I thought, well, let's just do practical stuff. Like we'll go out and shoot stand-up, or do a live shot or that sort of thing. And it was more fun. And watching students get better, most of them got better, despite, again, my input. And I think the hardest part for me was having to grade people, because it's so subjective,
Yes, that's tough.
Performance is different from like math or accounting. There is no perfect answer. You kind of know it when you see it. And I wasn't there to be the hard ass. I guess I could say that, and flunk people just because I could. I wanted everybody to succeed, and I think by and large most did that put any effort into it. They did well.
You really did a great job of building our confidence, and the grade is one thing, but you took the time. I don't know if you remember this, but you did take the time to explain to us. The definition of constructive criticism isn't criticism, it's constructive, and you leaned into that side of it. You would tell us, hey, focus on this, maybe try, you're using this word a lot. I truly learned so much, and you did a great job of making students feel like they could really pursue this, or maybe find out their strengths and talents were elsewhere.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you made me feel good enough that I became such a ham. Now you're stuck with me as a coworker.
So you left USI, and then your first stop was where? In the business.
I don't think a lot of people, even my friends, my close friends, my family remembers the story. They were in the thick of it with me, but it's kind of a crazy story. I don't get to tell it a lot, but since I made that change in major so late in the game in college, I really had to hustle to try to get out of there before, I was 87.
Yeah.
So I ended up really kind of buckling down those last 2 years. Again, your course was one I realized I do want to do this. I kind of solidified that. So here comes senior year, ready or not. And you were right. A lot of students, they told us at USI, shout out to the professors out there, they always told us and encouraged us to, hey, there's gear. It's right in that office. Go check it out. Go shoot some stand-ups. Go try to get a story in a package.
Yeah, play around.
Yeah, have some fun and get that resume reel built up. And did I listen? Well, finally, towards the end, I did. Ended up anchoring the college newscast, which provided, some good experience.
Right.
But really what happened was I talk with my hands, too.
You're fine.
I ended up my senior year. A guy named Bob Walters.
Yeah, I know Bob Walters,
Bob,
yes.
Yeah. He was news director at the time. It was
at Channel 7.
That's right,
Yeah.
Fox 7. And he taught a course at USI. And he, saw that, I was really getting interested in all of this. And he said, I really think you should do an internship. You need a little more experience. Let's get you over at the station. This was about the time that Fox 7 and 25 merged. So it was a pretty wild time here in the Evansville market.
Right.
And actually worked with Randy Moore for a few weeks
Uh-huh.
before he came here. So kind of wild. We all end up working together at some point, it seems. And long story short, my senior year, I did an internship with Bob Walters, and then ended up my senior year while still being a student at USI. We had a reporter who wanted to get into sports, and they were trying to fast track him into that role. I was the intern out there, and they said, if we started using you on the weekends, could you turn stories, and we're going to put you on air, and we're going to go ahead and basically hired me as a reporter my senior year of college. So I got to sit at graduation. I had a job, and I felt kind of cool in my classes at USI. I was like, I'm already working.
Yeah,
so
I'm a pro.
I started my job at Eyewitness News as a college student, my senior year, I was reporting the news, and then I graduated in December, and January 12th was my first day. And I remember my first day to start the 5-day work week.
Right.
And because classes got in the way of going out there and working 5 days a week. So I would report on the weekends, graduated, and then Monday morning it was off. So never really had to get out of college and have that rush of finding a job.
Yeah.
And then I was out there for about 2 years.
And that first 6 months when you're actually working at a TV station is worth 4+ years of college, because you have to do it. There isn't, and it's not like you're being graded. Sometimes you'll get feedback from a news director or producer or something. But for the most part, you're on your own and you have to figure it out. And I remember that feeling when I started. I thought, man, I've learned more in 6 months here in my first job than I learned. Nothing against IU or the program. It can't possibly show you, the kind of stuff you run into. Mm-hmm. So what was the first story you did? Do you remember?
That's a great question. So since I started my first full week, it was January 12th. 2012. And I remember there was like an end of day or an Armageddon type story, apocalypse, where they were like, there was a lot of people that predicted that the world would end.
Was going to end.
So my first
many
story
of them in TV, right?
was the world ending. And I thought, is this symbolism for my future? But thankfully it all worked out. So it's a good question. I didn't think about that.
You meet some wild people. I mean, when you report, especially if you're doing a general assignment in news, and I'm sure you've met many along the way. But by the same token, because you're local, you had a contact network built in. You could call people. If something happened in Princeton, you knew who to call, and or somebody, a neighbor, a friend, and you would have leads. So did that help you then move right along?
So much so. I really can thank my parents. I would give them, my dad is
news tippers, huh?
Such a friendly, amen. He's such a friendly person. And we're, it's a small town, and I'm proud of that, because there were a lot of times when there was a Gibson County story, I was the one assigned to it. So I got to kind of utilize those. And even my first 2 weeks here, I've already felt that connection again with being back home. I've had people reach out, and I'm getting story ideas left and right. So
there you go, and we'll get more here after this podcast drops. So that's, I think, one of the great things about working in your home market, and a lot of people aspire to that, but it's almost impossible depending on where you grew up. When you grow up in a market our size, Evansville, we're kind of in the middle. Market-wise in the United States. So it's plausible you could work here, but again, there's a finite number of spots, and it's all about timing. There might not be an opening when you want to come back. So you've lucked out twice, right? Because first time, of course, you got in over at 25 and worked there for a while. Then you went to Nashville, right?
I did.
So how did that happen?
Yeah, it's a big part of my life. I mean, I was there for almost 10 years, and that was kind of those pivotal years too. I, went after my career, accomplished the goals I set out to do, got engaged, got married, had a child, and the child obviously bringing us back to family. Right. I'll get to that. But so when I was over at Eyewitness News as a young reporter, they needed to send someone to go cover the CMA Awards, because we were the ABC affiliate. Sure. And my news director at the time, I just happened to talk about country music one day in the newsroom, and I guess he overheard. Right. He said, nobody else knows about country music. We're going to send you. So that was just luck of the draw, really. I'm always talking, so it paid off, I guess. Right. And I covered the awards show, and I've grown up around music. My family were big music lovers, especially country music, and I knew that that's what I wanted to get into, was more entertainment style of TV. Mm-hmm. So I ended up taking a network anchor job with a company called RFD TV, and it aired nationally.
They ran hee-haw reruns.
They did. That's right. In fact, the horse Trigger, I believe, the horse Trigger from the old Western shows, they had him at our studio. It was talk about the Western lifestyle, baptism by fire with that network. But I learned a lot about kind of the Western world and farming and agriculture. I know Jamie French, she said, my family is a huge fan of RFD. And so I anchored for them. That's what got me to town, is my point. I kind of took a job that I wasn't necessarily well versed on, but they needed an anchor, and they were willing to take a chance on me. Very grateful for that.
Given your history, you figured it out very quickly, right? right?
The set was located on Music Row, and I anchored for them for a year. And once you get to Nashville, that's kind of the goal. If you get your foot in the door, living in the city, then things started happening. I then, while at RFD, any opportunity I could find to go cover an award show or do some sort of entertainment music related event, I would. That then led to me hosting a country music show, which I still do to this day.
I
It's
know,
called
yeah,
Nashville
yeah.
Insider. So.
And you can cross promote on this.
Yes,
It's
right,
the
thank
beauty
you.
of Inside Look. It's a promotions vehicle.
I love
right.
it. I love it. Let's go. And so I actually started hosting that show, which was right up the alley of exactly what I wanted to do. Then my second year in town, I knew I wanted to get more involved in TV, and there was a job opening at News Channel 5 Nashville, which they were incredible stations where Oprah got her start.
Right.
Yeah, we actually met her.
Yeah, was WLAC and then WTVF, and Dave Black, who ran the department, or at least our part of the department at USI, had been a director there for many years. So
That's right.
it's full circle. So you're there at Oprah's station, although Oprah's long gone, right?
Let me just say, they may have had Oprah, but we have Jeff Lyons.
Well, right.
No, it was a great experience. What I did there was a little less of hard news coverage, kind of staying in that entertainment beat.
Yeah.
Did some segments for our daily talk show, Talk of the Town, and I also just did the entertainment coverage for the news. I was the entertainment reporter. And then after being there for about 8 years, to fast track my long-winded story, as you can see, I'm a talker, Jeff.
No, that's all right. Well, I'll give you the wrap,
Okay.
and you know that, right?
This will be-
If I get tired of it.
Your first ever 2-hour podcast, Inside Look. And yeah, I ended up getting married during my time in Nashville to my sweet husband, Will Ainsworth. And we had a little girl in 2022. She's about to be 3 this July.
Okay.
And that changes everything.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
Here we are. That's
Yeah.
my story.
So, well, now I want to circle around for a couple of things. First of all,
course.
are you a musician, or what makes you so interested in country music?
That's a great question. So my dad, Scott Mason, he has played music since the beginning of time. They had a family band in high school, like the Partridge Family. They played at prom. My grandpa, his
Did they have the
father
bus
played.
too, the
They didn't
psychedelic
have the
bus?
They had a van,
Man,
not as
okay.
nice. And just kind of growing up with a dad, and he still plays around the area to this day. Incredible musician, great dad, great musician, and I grew up singing with him, and because he was such a good guitarist, I was very coddled. I never had to learn how to play an instrument because he could just accompany me, which I regret. So that's on my bucket list, to learn to play guitar. And
Yeah.
yes, that is what really kind of brought this whole interest in entertainment and country music, I think, in my heart.
What kind of gigs would your dad play, and would you sing? Like, are we talking wedding receptions? Are you at bars? Are you
Yeah.
at county fairs? I mean, what kind of stuff
Hey,
did you do?
I did get to play at bars before I was allowed to be in them. So, yeah, I've sang at friends' weddings. Again,
Yeah.
very amateur karaoke singer here. It's just something we enjoy. I did
Yeah.
musicals in high school, and I always say I can at least carry a tune. We'll see how well.
Yeah.
It's fun for us. We enjoy it. Grew up kind of, always going to Opry shows, and my dad, he kind of plays a little bit of everywhere. Like a good example is our county fair. He's one of the headliners out there, as well as Rock-A-Bar is one of our, now it's prime time.
You're right.
We play at prime time in the summer, and just lots of fun to get out and
Do you still get to
perform.
do it?
Yes, actually.
So from time to time, you could be sitting in with the band, and there's Casie Mason up on the stage,
And
right?
does Jeff Lyons sing? Because we'll get you up there.
No, I don't do that. So the other question I had was, so you go to Nashville, you're thrown onto this anchor role on RFD, and then you're sort of doing entertainment beat reports. Are you expected to enterprise your stories? Meaning, do you have to come up with the stuff? Do you say, well, I guess I'll talk to Vince Gill today. Does anybody have his phone number? Or do you have a producer that says, we've got this big thing going and you're going to talk to so-and-so?
Yeah. So the way it works in Nashville, it's really interesting. It's fascinating. What I learned is it's this little bubble of people. You've got your entertainment reporters, and most of them move to town and never leave.
Yeah.
And I kind of researched who all those people were before I moved. And truly, I took the job at RFD to get to town.
Right.
And, I saw it was on Music Row.
Any old job, any old
old
network
job.
will do.
But hey, it was a tremendous opportunity, not to belittle that at all. And, I would do the ag news in the morning, and in the afternoons, they would kind of leave it up to me. And one of the very first things that came across our email was, oh, there's this ACM Honors red carpet tonight. Of course, again, they turned to me, you want to go do that? Do I? Yeah. Sign me up. When do I need to be there? And eventually they get to know, the publicists get to know you, the managers get to know you. And really, truly, like I said, there's a group of about 20 of us that cover entertainment, and you go to every red carpet and you have the same people with their outlets, and it's almost like it's cool family. I can't say I'm friends with artists, but I know their publicists. And so, for instance, this week, there was a #1 party for an artist, and I got an email sent to me because I know the publicist, and they're like, hey, if you're going to be in town, we'd love for you to cover it. And so that's kind of how it works. You kind of build that brand, and if you get invited once and you can stay in there.
And so you don't spill a drink on anyone, then you're good. So did you meet any of your idols? And if so, were you then impressed, disappointed? What was that like? Because I'm sure you have artists that you like and follow and emulate in Nashville, and now you're maybe talking to them, interviewing them, and then were there any surprises?
I truly feel like I've been so blessed. I've gotten to interview pretty much anyone in my wildest dreams. I mean, some of it was hard work, and some of it, I can't sit here and say like, oh, it's a tough job, someone's got to do it. It's pure joy to get to do that. I pretty much have interviewed all the people that my heart could never dreamed of talking to when I told, the gal that was taking your class at USI, she get to go do those things. But one question I get asked a lot is who's nice and who's not.
Well, I'm trying to ask that in a classy way. See, I'm just as nosy as everybody else.
Well, the answer to that, because people do ask that, I think, hey, it's a great question to ask. My answer is simple. The folks that made it to the big leagues, Garth, Reba, Dolly, all of them, are the nicest human beings you could ever meet. And that's why they made it to that level. It's the kind of up-and-comers that I think maybe need that little slice of humble pie. I've learned that, I think, too, it's the way in this market, you grow up watching people on air, and they don't have anything to prove. You guys, you're kind to your viewers. And as a young college kid and intern, I'm one of the kindest people. Brad Bird was so kind to me when I started out. And those are the people that they just don't have anything to prove. And similar in country music, they are talented, and I think you have to be if you're a good person, good things happen. And so that's kind of what I learned from that industry. So
that's a great way to look at it. Did you ever get to meet Minnie Pearl?
I did not. Loretta Lynn, though, my claim to fame is I was at
coal miner's daughter.
That's right.
Okay.
She kissed me on the cheek I have no idea why, but she came down the red carpet, planted a big one right here, and since then that's the only artist I've kissed, just to let my husband Will know.
Okay. Well, I think that one we'll let that one slide. So do you have to have a closet full of sparkly dresses ready to go at an instant's notice for these red carpet things? See, I would hate having the dress. I guess a guy has it easy. You wear a tux, right, basically, or something close. But isn't there pressure, on how you look if you're covering, red carpet event versus like city council meeting?
It's so funny
nobody
you
cares.
That. It's funny you ask that. In my closet right now as we speak, I have my red carpet section, and it's just full bedazzled bling. You can tell that's the red carpet section with all the fancy outfits. I will say getting ready for a red carpet is, in my opinion, these past 2 weeks, a little easier than getting ready at 2:30 a.m. to come anchor the news.
Well, typically you're awake at, for a red carpet event at 8 o'clock at night versus 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So how has that transition been for you then? You worked in the big time, big people, big stars. Now you're back home, and that's a reverse from the typical, most people just go up, and then retire, get out, flame out, whatever. But a few come back. Is it I mean, I know you want to be close to family, and that's what brought you back into the tri-state. But at the same time, are you like, oh man, I got to do what? Because when you're in a bigger market, a network, and so forth, there are people that handle a lot of the functions that we all do all of, right? As you learned in my class, you're going to carry your tripod, you're going to do all that stuff. So what's that been like for you to kind of come back down a notch?
I appreciate you asking that. That's kind of been the big question that, since I've been back in the area, I've ran into high school friends and family, and everybody's like, well, why'd you move back? And, I thought you really loved it in Nashville. And I really did. I think I worked hard to get where I was, but I also, enjoyed every minute of it too. It was fun. We had our daughter, and it was just one of those things where I'm so close with my family, and not a lot of people have that. I'm very lucky in my life. I have a wonderful, wonderful family, and I knew I wanted them to be a part of my daughter's life. And life, listen, no, who knows where we're going to end up someday, but I knew for her first couple years or more than couple years, we're going to be around for a long time.
Oh, yes, that's how it works. In your basement later, but we'll get into that in another podcast. True. Yes.
Kick her out. But she, I knew it was important for her to get to be a part of their lives and them her. It was a transition to move back. And then one good lesson learned was if you really want something to work and you're willing to grind, you can make it happen. And so what we did was we moved back, and I continued to work in Nashville these past 2 years, struck a deal up with News Channel 5, and, kudos to them. They saw the benefit in kind of keeping me on. I dialed it down to part-time because you can't drive to Nashville every day.
No.
Don't advise. But I'd still go a few days a week. And then, of course, a lot of folks behind the scenes don't know this. We don't just get on camera and talk. We do a lot of behind the scenes editing, and
there's a lot more to it. Yeah.
So I did my editing from home as well. So I'd go shoot and film segments and then edit from home, send it off to the station. I was on TV in Nashville but living in Indiana, and then been kind of balancing that with stay-at-home mom, which the hardest job I've ever had thus far. Enjoyed those days in Nashville.
2 children, yes?
Just the one.
Oh, just one.
The one.
Okay, 2 years old then. Okay.
No,
or
listen,
3.
no, I threw out a lot of numbers.
It might seem like 2 or 3 at times, right?
It truly does. We get asked a lot about the second. When's that second one coming? But it's been. I'm handling the first one right now. But yeah, it was a happy 2 years, but it was also, it's been a big transition for my husband, Will, and I. You get established somewhere. We kind of had to say goodbye to that part of our life, but in time we've gained so much, and I'll fast forward to today, because again, this is only a few, I'm probably running over already.
No.
You've done such a great job listening to me ramble. But I really got to kind of ease into moving home. I'm very lucky I got to be with my daughter a few days a week, and then also still continue to work in Nashville. And then this year hit, and I just knew that I wanted to get back into, I care a lot about this area, obviously. And I was ready to do something in television or even behind the scenes that just kind of felt like, I'm no longer in Nashville.
Tugging you back in.
Yes, right. Exactly. It was like a voice. I think it was the voice of Jeff Lyons summoning me.
No, I don't summon anybody here. And then, it's like everything else in this business and many others. It's all timing and luck, and it just so happened Jamie moved up to the evening show, and now we're looking for somebody, and there you are.
We joke, it's like it all happened for a reason. I truly reached out via email and did not know that this position was going to be available. And I'll say this, I did a lot of fun stuff in Nashville, and I love the stations and the network I worked for, but this job has been a bigger deal, and I've had more support and excitement from family and friends that I'm going to be a part of the 14 News than anything I've ever done. I thought doing red carpets were impressive, but I mean, my home county and my husband's family in Madisonville, Kentucky, everyone's so excited that I'm here, and I am grateful that I'm here. I'm so happy.
And we're grateful you're here too, and I'm really thankful that you could come on here, because I know you're still like drinking out of a fire hose back there, even though you know your stuff. There's still, those little things about taking on a new job and juggling that with kids. did that as well. I have 3. They're grown now. It gets easier, sort of, in a different way. But yeah, I remember a few severe weather events having 3 small children under the desk with me because I keep them out of sight. My wife taught, and we would trade off. Basically, I had the kids in the morning because I work nights. She would get home at about 2, and then we'd do the changing of the guard, and I'd come up here. Well, occasionally there'd be a meeting or something, or we'd get, say, severe weather at 11 o'clock in the morning, so I would pack them all up. I had a little, baby bucket and some toys, and I had, I think I had like Sesame Street or something on a monitor underneath the weather desk, and I'm up there doing
That was just for Byron.
tornado warning. Well, right. No, Byron wouldn't entertain the kid. I figured he would be good at entertaining the children, but he's better at entertaining me. That's what Byron does. He and I go way back in entertaining. But yeah, it was a juggling act, and I was always fortunate. I do live close to the station, so I'd go home and give baths, help with homework, that sort of thing. So I was able, and weather allows that a little more latitude in the hours. So, but I know exactly what you're saying about family, and especially having that support network, grandparents and so forth, and cousins probably. And that's something you can't put a price tag on.
Amen.
Yeah. So, we're not in church yet, but if we stay here long enough, it'll be Sunday. So, we'll go right on into it. Well, Casie, thanks so much for sharing a little bit about Casie Mason with the Tri-State. I'm sure it won't be the last time you're back here, because I want to get the real story on some of these people in Nashville.
That's right.
You can just write it down, and then we'll do some back study on that. Thanks for coming on Inside Look.
Jeff.
Casie Mason, our newest member of the 14 News family. If you'd like to listen to the Inside Look podcast, you can get it wherever you get your podcasts, or you can watch on the 14 News YouTube channel. Thanks for watching and listening to Inside Look.